I had already put in my resignation for my job. If I didn't figure it out, I'm screwed. I just left my job. That time I got into a car crash too. It's very, very lonely. You have nobody but yourself to rely on. And we did that, I think, close to 10,000 times before we closed the first client. We have passed six figures in just our first 4 to 5 months. I actually bought my mom's dream watch. I even recorded like me giving it to her. As kids, we always want to give our parents the best. The ability to do that at 22 years old, to buy something like that, I think it was one of the highlights of my entire life.
Welcome to the Alex Law Podcast, when I bring brilliant people to the show so that you can learn from them and hopefully you can make today your turning point. Today we'll be joined by Ethan Lloyd, who is a 22-year-old entrepreneur who made six figures. So he runs a AI integrated marketing solutions company whereby he provides solutions, services such as digital marketing and also personal branding. He is also a friend of mine, which I met through work, and I heard his story about how he's built his business. So I wanted to bring him here to share his story. Thanks for joining me today, Ethan.
Thank you for having me, Alex. All right, I'm excited. Definitely, this is my first podcast.
The audience may want to know who you are. So who is Ethan and what do you do?
All right, so my name is Ethan Lloyd. I'm a 22-year-old owner of a marketing firm. Basically, we specialize in AI integrated marketing or digital ads, content creation, content marketing, the full stack of services that you need for your business. So we come in, we help your brand grow, we help you scale, we help you move more product. We also help you get more eyes on your business, also boost conversions, get appointments, basically everything you need. So just call me.
All right, awesome. So, Ethan, I want you to take you back as a kid, because when I think about entrepreneurs, I think about someone who once as a child they used to do some business, and that become the inspiration of who they are today.
Okay, I think that's a very good question. I'd say my first business ever, I think I started it at the age of 7. Funny enough, I know that sounds very ridiculous, very young age. At the time, there was the FIFA World Cup, and everybody was crazy about it. We all, everybody had their haircut like Ronaldo. Everybody was debating Messi or Ronaldo, things like that. So what happened is, actually in our school, we had this bookshop where you can buy stationery, books, and things like that, right? During the World Cup time, they actually had these erasers that had country flags on them. So at the time, there was this very, very popular game in school to play called Eraser Fight. So basically, you like try to get your eraser above somebody else's eraser, things like that. So what happened was, this bookshop, they sold it, but they only carried 2 boxes every 2 weeks. At the time, my parents gave me an allowance of 1 ringgit a day. I saved up and I bought the 2 boxes. So nobody else could have it but me. And I actually sold it at a higher price. So I think they were going for about 20 cents per eraser. I sold them for around 70 cents. So at the time, I was making decent money. How much money do you need at 7 years old, to be honest, right? So that is like my first ever endeavor into business.
Wow, amazing. Yeah, I used to play eraser fights. So while you're saving up as a kid, how much do you make back then selling erasers?
How much did I make back then selling erasers? To be honest, it was unquantifiable. Last time I didn't measure my success by, how much I made. I actually measured my success by how many Milo Ice can I buy during lunch break, and I could buy a lot.
All right.
So that was definitely a good way of tracking my wealth, I guess.
Do you do any other businesses when you're a child?
Yes, I would say the one more business that I ran was actually, I think, at the age of 9 or 10. At the time, the Pokemon card game was booming. Everybody was playing it. So what happened was, I actually became a reseller. So I would buy these packs. I would buy this, I forgot what it's called, but like a tin box.
Yeah.
Some of the cards were rare, and they went for more money. Some of them, if you sold a rare card, you could buy like 5 or 6 tin boxes. So that's exactly what I did. So I just bought and sell, bought and sell, bought and sell. And I think, honestly, as a 9 to 10-year-old, I made like 1.5K to 2K. That's not bad. What are you going to do with that money as a kid, right? So that's the second business I ever did.
Honestly, 1.5 to that amount of money is quite a lot as a child. So it's pretty impressive. You know, usually kids like me around that age, I wouldn't be thinking about making money. I'll be thinking about just going enjoying my life as a childhood. You know, what made you such a person to basically be an entrepreneur instead of just living your life as a kid?
You know, I could sit here and I could lie and say that it was a book that I read or it's some YouTube video I watched that changed my life. To be entirely honest, in my opinion, it is just something that I was inherently born with. You know, a lot of my friends and schoolmates, they were artistically gifted, musically gifted, athletic. I was none of those things. But for some reason, I always found myself trying to start a business or some side hustle to make some money. So I guess that's like my calling or like my gift in life, something like that. Yeah.
So like how were your grades? You know, how were you doing in school?
Um, Funny enough, can I swear on this show?
Yeah, sure.
Sure. Um, to be honest with you, it was dog shit. Like, I'm not good at studying at all. You couldn't pay me to sit down in a classroom and revise. I was never good at assignments. I was never good at, exams, things like that. But then again, I guess because I have ADHD, so it's very hard for me to, focus in school with something that I don't care about. Like in my head, photosynthesis has nothing to do with making a living or, being successful. So I would say that sums up my school life basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when I think about life as a child, it's always be about this kid, dumb kid you didn't do well at school. And sometimes when they come at life, they had a different calling. And my next question for you is for your grades, like when you get SPM, how many A's do you got?
Okay, funny enough, I actually didn't take SPM. I took IGCSE, which is like the British version of SPM, because I mean I didn't study abroad, by the way. Like it's an international school. A lot of people have taken IGCSE in Malaysia. I got 1A. 1A, and I think I just scraped by with like 3 credits or 4 credits, just enough to take a diploma. If not, I would have been cooked.
How about your degree? Do you went to university?
No, I did not go to university. I think at the time when I was taking my diploma, I was doing fairly well as a student, but I didn't really find much fulfillment. And the thought of just going back to university for the next 3, 4 years, doing the same thing that I can't seem to care about, that just wasn't for me. And honestly, I don't think until today I regret that decision at all.
Then how do you begin your life as an entrepreneur after that?
I think if I were to sum it up in one word, is just heartbreak. So tried to start a lot of things. I tried to start a e-commerce business selling jewelry. I tried to start a e-commerce business selling lighters. Those failed. Then I decided that, once I started working, that, hey, maybe I could try making household cleaning products. The thing is, at 18, 19 years old, what are you going to know about supply chain? What are you going to know about like finding good suppliers and things like that? So, of course, given my inexperience, it failed. And I think that one probably hurt the most because I put a lot of my money into it.
How much money do you put in?
It was quite a lot, to be honest. Like at that time, when I just started my career, like 2, 3 grand, that's almost like a whole month's paycheck.
So, like, what was the biggest challenge as an entrepreneur along the journey?
I think the biggest challenge as an entrepreneur is actually not what you do, it's what you don't do. So, for example, everyone now they look in and they look at me, they say, like, hey, you live this life, you are self employed, you get to do pretty much whatever you want, buy your friends, families, nice things, right? But people often forget that there were a lot of things I missed out on. A lot of hangouts, a lot of parties, a lot of fun things that you should be doing as a 20-year-old or like, in your early 20s. I didn't get to experience any of that. I will never know what it's like to have a campus life in university. So it was really about the things that I had to sacrifice instead of the things that I actually did.
A lot of people like to enjoy their younger years, their uni life, where they want to go out, go party and stuff. Would you say that it's worth it going through all that? making those sacrifices?
I think for most people, no. For most people, honestly, it's not worth it. You know, everybody wants to start a business, everybody wants to be an entrepreneur, but it's not about the flashy life. It's not about the massive success or the Rolex on the wrist or, the Ferraris that you have. It's not about that at all. That is like maybe 5% of the whole thing. The other 95% is getting your ass kicked every single day, handed to you, taking losses, taking more rejections that anyone will in a whole lifetime in a single day. So it's you really lose a lot on this journey, and the mental toll, the physical toll that it has taken, on me and even the people that I work with. I would honestly say if it's not your passion, if it's just something that would be nice to do, don't do it.
What got you to Verlo, your current company?
What got me into Verlo? Okay, so just to backtrack, I actually took an internship when I was 20, and I was working at this used luxury goods store. And in this used luxury goods store, I think I got probably the best experience of my life. Like, I was in very close proximity. I think my bosses were both siblings. Those guys are, wow, they really opened my eyes because they were such young people. They had such a thriving business, small team. They had excellent customer service. They had excellent, organization, everything. So and it's just two people that are young. So just seeing that and like looking at young people have success, it opened my eyes. And it also made me realize that, hey, these people started this business at my age at that time. Why not me, right? I could do it too, right? So after that, eventually I had to leave that job because I think I was looking to pivot full time into marketing. So after that, I ended up working at a marketing agency, like a very established marketing agency. And I would say that this experience working in a marketing agency really opened my eyes because at that time I was 20, 21 years old, and just being in boardrooms that I shouldn't be in, signing deals that I shouldn't be in, coming up with ideas, leading a team. These are all like crazy things to do at that age. But it really opened my eyes, and then it really made me see that you're more capable than you think you are. You know, just because you're young doesn't mean that you are not going to be good at it. You can learn. Everybody who's good at something right now started off not being good at it, right? So, yeah, so after that, I think I worked there for like a year and a half. Now, after that, interesting is where I think things start to change. So, this company I was working at, I think they were laying off a lot of people. I didn't get laid off, but what happened was that a huge chunk of the team that we got so used to working with got laid off. So, for me, I had two choices, right? Do I stay and do I ride it out? Or do I take a risk and start my own thing? Because at that time, being at that age and when in that industry, I've kind of proved to myself that I can survive. I can do it. I understand the business model. It is not too far fetched to say that I could start my own one. And that's exactly what I did. So that is kind of how Verlo started. Yeah.
How about building a business? How was building Verlo like?
Well, we didn't start as Verlo. We actually started as Viral Flow Media. Honestly, at the time, we had no idea what we're doing. Like, we had no idea how to brand our company. We had no idea how to get clients, get leads. Because when you work in an established agency, everything is already done. Like, these people have 30 years in the game. Like, they already established their name. So when they walk into rooms, meet clients, people already know who they are. So for me, the biggest challenge was building a name. Like, why should this business pay me money to help them grow? Because nobody knows who I am, and they're like, who's this kid coming in asking for cash, right? That's really how they view it. And to be fair, they're not wrong to view it that way because a lot of people start quote unquote agencies, which is really just a glorified freelancer with a domain name. So yeah, so after that, we started the business and we had no idea what we're doing. So that is when I sort of learned that business is not complicated. It is simple, but it's not easy. So, for example, like when we wanted to get our first client, right? We realized that, okay, nobody knows who we are, so we have to explain ourselves and we have to obviously contact new people, right? So, I think at the time we didn't know about AI, automation, anything like that. We literally scraped like a long list of different businesses of Google Maps, found their Instagram, and messaged them one by one. And we did that, I think, close to 10,000 times before we closed the first client.
People give up at that point.
Mm-hmm.
10,000 times is quite a lot. You know, what gives you the drive to move on?
I think at that point, it was a do or die moment. I had already put in my resignation for my job. If I didn't figure it out, I'm screwed. Basically, I'm screwed because I have no income coming in. I have no degree, nothing. I just have a diploma. So it was do or die. So it was like I had to reach that point of like there was nothing else that could work. This has to work. I have to find a way to make it work. Only when I got into that point, I started seeing success.
Then, like, how was your first client like?
First client, I think I reached out to them on Instagram. I think one of the, tons of messages that we sent. And eventually somebody got back to us. We went for a consultation and they actually saw our portfolio. And they actually saw that, hey, these guys know what they're talking about. They're quite smart. They can think of strategies and things like that. They know where we're lacking in the business. So let's give them a shot. We worked with them. And until today, I think close to half a year later, they are still one of our best clients and most supportive clients ever. They never ever, doubted us. They never ever looked down at us because we were young. They constantly just supported us and they gave us an avenue to experiment and explore, which is great.
Then, how do you got from that one client to having like a big number of clients where you can grow to where you are today?
Okay, so I think the funny thing is that it's very, very hard to get your first client and it's super easy to get your second client. As long as somebody trusted you and you have a portfolio doing work for another business, automatically when you give your portfolio to people, it gives like social proof. So the whole mindset is like, if you're trying to get your first client, nobody has ever worked with you before, right? So why should I trust you? But if I've got my first client and I go into that and say, hey, this guy trusted me, we got him this results, then they'll be like, oh, you know what? If that person trusts you, I'm more likely to trust you because we often like humans like to think in like a hive mentality, right? So if somebody works with you, you have a portfolio, it's way easier to get your second client.
Now, I do like to backtrack to what you said about viral flow. At that point, like, how do you get from viral flow to Verlo?
We were running viral flow for about 5-6 months. And it was around that time where we sort of discovered the big loophole in the agency and marketing industry. The problem is that there is not much innovation in the industry. Back then, all the big players in marketing, they controlled traditional marketing, newspapers, billboards, publications, things like that. In the early 2000s and 2010s, the rise of social media, you had things like meta ads. At that time, it was just Facebook ads. Then we have content creation, we have Google ads, SEO, things like this. That opportunity allowed people to catch up to the big players in the game. Now we are in 2025 going on to 2026. A lot of people are still going and operating with the mindset of the people from the 2010s. The only difference now is that there is an undeniable opportunity for us people who want to start, in the marketing industry, who want to change the game. It's AI. AI came out like publicly, I think 2 years ago, 2023, something like that. Just look at how much it has developed in just 2 years, going on to 3 years, right? There are so many tools, so many things can be automated. You can get data at faster speeds. You can get results faster. You can cut your costs down. This is the golden opportunity. So given that Viral Flow Media is built as a traditional agency, we wanted to challenge that. Well, sorry, a bit too much water. Yeah. So we wanted to challenge that, and we also wanted to go for a more modern approach. So we're like, okay, how do we be the ones that usher the change of AI, the change of the entire industry, into the Malaysian market, and of course down the line the Southeast Asia market? So the key is that we are now AI integrated. So Verlo is built for brands that doesn't matter if you've been here 20 years, doesn't matter if you've been here 40 years, 10 years, 5 years. You can work with any agency. But if you want to be here for the next 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, if you're the company that wants to embrace the future, embrace the changing times, have the best tools, Verlo is the agency that you need. So that was our whole thought process building Verlo.
Until today, how much do you currently make at Verlo?
Well, I can't really reveal specifics, but we have proud to say that we have passed six figures in revenue in just our first 4 to 5 months in operations, and we are growing at a rate that, if you ask me at the start of this year, I wouldn't believe you.
Six figures is, quite a lot of money. So where do you think your seven figures would be?
7 figures.
Yes.
Well, looking at how the company is, and I think the pivot from viral flow media to Verlo, I think that it is almost inevitable that within the next 12 months that we hit 7 figures as a company.
Wow. 12 months is it's not far away, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, how does your parents know about all this money that you have?
Yes, I think they are pretty familiar at this point. I think for a lot of people that don't know me, my mom actually worked in the tax industry. There's a big benefit because when you have a business, you have a lot of tax questions, a lot of things that usually you would have to pay like a professional to answer for you. For me, I can just ask my mom. So that was pretty good.
And do you manage to buy anything for yourself?
Oh, buy anything for myself? I would say not really. I think most of my money went to just improving like my desk. Like I got a standing desk, I got a nice monitor, I got all the equipment that I need. But I think the best thing I bought this year from starting the business was I actually bought my mom's dream watch in cash, and I even recorded like me giving it to her. So that was a very pivotal moment. I think even for you, just looking back, as kids, we always want to give our parents the best, and the ability to do that at 22 years old, to buy something like that, I think it was one of the highlights of my entire life.
Okay. So, like, what watch would you give to your mom?
I got her a Longines Evidenza. Nothing too flashy, but it's a very classy, elegant watch, and I think she's in love with it. And I also love the watch, to be honest. If they made a men's version, I'm pretty sure they do. I would probably buy that.
I can also see that you're a watch person as well. Okay, your left hand. So
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. And how much money does it cost to buy that watch?
Oh, my mom's watch. I think I'll keep that a secret, but you guys can just go and search the retail price of that and make your own conclusions.
Okay, great. While taking on this entrepreneurial journey, like, what was the biggest turning point in your life before you go into Verlo?
The biggest turning point in my life was realizing that nobody is coming to save me. That as much as your parents support you, love you, as much as your friends believe in you, at the end of the day, it comes to you. As an adult, you have a choice.
Yeah.
Everything you do is a choice. Everything either leads you closer to your goal or away from your goal, right? So the turning point for me was really realizing that one day I was so hopeless in my room, just thinking like, damn, I just left my job. At that time I got into a car crash too. And then my girlfriend actually went overseas for like a couple of months, so I was pretty sad about that as well. At that time I was completely broken, and I almost wanted to give up, man. That I was like, this is way too hard. Like, why can't life be so good? Like I see on Instagram, all my friends are studying overseas. They're having a great life. Some of them are married with kids, by the way. That's crazy. But yeah, so I think that was the turning point for me, realizing that regardless of how you feel, it is up to you. You decide your destiny. Whether you're sad, you're angry, you're happy, whatever it is, you still need to get up and you need to do the things that will bring you closer to your goal. That was the turning point.
Like, was there anything that helped you along the way?
Along the way of my entrepreneurial journey, I would say it was definitely God, bro. I think in the past 2 years, I have became a very religious person. I find myself like praying quite a lot and also, believing in God and, even reading the Bible and things like that. So, interestingly enough, I think that the moment I believed that there was a higher power that had control over everything and that, you know, regardless of whether I win, lose, or succeed, that, God still loves you, God still loves me, still believes in us. I think that's what kept me going. And that is like the belief that kind of made me survive the whole thing.
What's one thing about success that no one tells you about?
I think the main thing that people don't understand is how incredibly lonely it is. Entrepreneurship and building your business is going to be a very scary, very lonely journey. A lot of the times, you're going to be in a cold, dark room figuring things out. I think that a lot of people probably will find it very difficult to move on being alone. Because you see, like, as I said earlier, friends might believe in you, your family might believe in you, right? But they cannot do it for you. You have to do it yourself. So when nobody's watching and when nobody is knowing what you're doing, are you actually putting in the work? Are you actually sacrificing? Or are you just posting on LinkedIn that you are sacrificing? Or are you just telling your friends, posting in a story that you're locked in? Right? So that is the one truth that they don't tell you. It's very, very lonely. And you have nobody but yourself to rely on.
I can relate to you because when I'm going through my journey writing on LinkedIn, I realized that not everyone will support the part I had. So I had to be the one who have to go on through this journey myself. And it's great to sometimes have a community of people who are doing the same thing as you. So that's helped with the loneliness. So what helps you go through the loneliness that you had back then? Or now at least?
Now, I would say prayer is a big part of it. Like just being able to pray and just let all my problems, be known to God and believing that He has a plan for me and guiding me and things like that. I think that is the pivotal thing that made me feel less lonely, I guess. Aside from that, the only other actionable thing I say you could do is write. Write a lot. Because sometimes in our head, we have like 110 things that we're thinking of. The moment you write it all down, you realize that it actually wasn't 101 things or 110 things. It was maybe 10 things that stressed you out. And your problems seem a lot smaller when they're written down. So I'll say those are the two things that helped.
Yeah, I really agree with you on the writing part. If someone wants to change their life like you did, what's the first thing that they need to do?
I think the first thing that they need to do is they need to understand very carefully exactly what they want to achieve. Everybody has a different definition of success. Maybe to you, it could be having a family, buying your first house at like before 30 years old, right? Maybe to me, it could be not having to work all the time, maybe working 3 times a week. You have to determine what success is for you. Never, ever, ever determine what success is based on what you've read from a book, based on what you've seen on social media, based on what you've seen on your favorite influencer story, your friend's story. Most of these people are lying to you. You have to determine what success is to you. The moment you determine what success is to you, you need to come up with a game plan. You need to see, okay, for example, Alex wants to be a LinkedIn writer, right? The best way to become a LinkedIn writer is to write more, right? It's not about thinking about it. It's not about talking about it. It's just to write. The moment you identify what you want to achieve, you make a game plan on how you're going to go there. In between those two steps, there is about 100 little micro steps that will kick your ass along the way. Just don't give up. Focus on that goal of becoming whatever you want to be. You have a 60% chance of making it.
Thanks for answering those questions, Ethan. So that's the end of those sections. We're now moving to a new segment, which is called the lightning round.
Oh my
So
goodness.
this is where I ask a bunch of quick questions, and you have to answer as quick as possible.
Okay, I'll try.
So, Ethan, are you ready?
Yes, sir, I'm ready.
Okay, great. So, are you a morning or night owl?
I'll say I'm a morning person, but kind of lying to myself, but okay.
What's a movie you enjoy?
Back to the Future.
What's the last song you had on repeat?
4 Raws by SD Kid.
Wow, that's a little bit too quick. Huh? Which is harder, starting or finishing?
Finishing, because when you start, you only have one thing in your mind. When you try to finish, you have like 101 things going through your head. It's harder to finish, trust me.
Who is your favorite role model?
I wouldn't say a specific one person that I could choose, but I'll say that the people I look up to the most is going to be my dad, because he never gave up and always went for his dreams. My mom, because she taught me the meaning of sacrifice and putting family first instead of yourself. And I'll say the last one is God, bro. It's Jesus, bro. Like, he taught me to be selfless, to love other people, not to be egotistical, not to be prideful.
So, what is your must-read books?
Must-read books, I'll say I have 4. The first book that changed my life was Atomic Habits. That one kind of taught me, like, your goal is actually not one goal. It's like many, many micro, small goals. The second one is Ego is the Enemy. And that's when I learned one of the most important lessons. I think it's a Latin word called ante bullo. It means that you help yourself by helping others. So whenever you come to think of success, help others, then you will be successful too. The third one, I would say, is Psychology of Money. This is not per se a success book or a motivational book. It kind of teaches you that, money is a psychology. And everybody has different upbringings, different understandings and things like that. So just knowing that nobody's wrong about it, that everybody has different perspectives. And then the last one, I think for all marketers out there or all people who want to start your own business, read 100M Offers by Alex Hormozy. That book literally teaches you how to make offers that people would feel stupid saying no.
Do you have a favorite quote?
Favorite quote? I would say not really a quote, but it's a formula of how I live my life, which is volume plus consistency negates luck. Whatever it is that you want to do, whatever it is you want to achieve, whether you want to start a business or whether you want to, invest or whatever, pick up a new skill, volume and consistency is the only way there. Luck is something that you can't control, the general consensus of luck. So in order to negate luck, volume and consistency. Whatever you do, do as much as you can, as often as you can, and you will make it.
Appreciate the insight that you share. So we have already reached out to the end of the segment. So yeah, thanks, Ethan, for getting on this long.
Thank you for having me, Alex.
So do you have any final things to add on?
Yes, I think I'll just leave you guys with this one quote that I heard. What you are not changing in your life is what you're choosing. So if you're not happy where you are right now, if you're not achieving the things that you want to achieve, change. You have the power to change it. Don't give excuses saying that, oh, I can't do it because of this, because of that. No, you can. You're more capable than you think you are. So just go for it and make that change in your life. And I think, as Alex says it best, find your turning point.
Yes, and I suppose this is the first podcast I ever made. Perhaps it could be my turning point. It could be yours as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you. Thanks for joining the Alex Law Show. I hope that you can learn very well from Ethan and his journey on entrepreneurship. So if you're interested to connect with Ethan, you can find him on verlo.com or his Instagram. I recommend that you reach out to him because he's doing amazing work. So if you enjoy content like this, you can follow me so you can make your turning point today. Thanks for listening. We'll come around again.